Welcome to the second ever Frag-Net interview. We have a guest you may remember if you were an old school Quake player. For the interviewer now gets interviewed, give it up for TC of MeccaWorld and Daily Dementia fame. MeccaWorld was a gaming website that was briefly popular in the mid-90s for hosting Doom, Duke Nukem 3D, and Quake maps and mods, while Daily Dementia was a very early internet podcast. Starting about March of 1998, one of our staff members, Lemon, took an interest in TC while browsing the Wayback Machine and our favorite game site, Blues News. Thanks to a tip from a friend, Lemon learned that TC was running a record store just a reasonable driving distance away. After hitting up his email, we wound up visiting TC's store, Rock This Town Records, where TC agreed to do an on-site audio interview. It just blew our minds that this worked out. After so many dead ends or people unable to talk about history for perfectly valid reasons, we found another great guest willing to let us pick at their brain and document some history for you all. This all happened way back in January of this year, and let me tell you, editing an interview can be a daunting task. During that process, we got back in touch with him, and he gave us 40 plus episodes of Daily Dementia. These have not been uploaded elsewhere, and probably have not been heard in almost 30 years. Included are interviews with some of the guests mentioned, like Tom Hall, Geoff Keighley. Be sure to check out the archive.org page. Thanks a lot, TC. Anyways, after months of editing, transcription, and research, we are just dying to share our interview with him. So please enjoy this trip down memory lane as we talk gaming along with web history. Enjoy.
This is a special interview for Frag-Net, our website. Today we are going to get Demented, because we're going to talk with, if you don't mind me calling you TC.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
TC of Daily Dementia fame. You are also behind, if I'm correct, was it MeccaWorld?
Yeah,
as well?
MeccaWorld. Yes,
yeah.
yes. And I
Daily,
would
yeah.
And once a month I would get threatening emails.
Really?
You can probably guess why.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a cool name, and then
It is a cool name. And also, you now own this awesome record store known as Rock This Town Records, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep. So it's been a fun ride.
Yeah. So let's start off. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I don't. That's always a tough question for everybody. So I was once hitting the swing with once hitting the eye with a swing. So and there was blood flowing down. But this was like when I was like 6 or 5. So
yeah,
that's the. And then my love of blood and Doom and everything. Quake, and then move forward. So, but yeah.
Have you always lived in Arizona, or?
No, when I was doing the Daily Dementia, I'm a Minnesota boy, so
I
was coming out of coming out of the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Did you move here because it's just not as cold, or just out of curiosity?
So yeah, a little bit of a long story. I met my wife online before it was
really?
kind of taboo to do that. It was like 99. She asked a question. We were part of a Def Leppard mailing list.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day of the mailing list. Well, everything was old back then, whether it was the Daily Dementia and Real Audio and stuff like that. And then we ended up connecting, and then I moved to Arizona because she was in Arizona, but it was up in Prescott. And then we moved to Colorado Springs, and then we moved back to Minnesota, and then about 7.5 years ago, we moved here to Phoenix again.
Oh, that's cool. That's
because
really
I was tired of the cold. I love the snow.
So next question, I was going to ask. So how did you get into computers? Do you remember? You remember what your first computer was, by any chance?
So I was fascinated by I think it was the Atari 400.
Oh, okay.
It was one of those early Ataris that had like this weird keyboard on it. It wasn't like a real keyboard, but it was like a tactile keyboard kind of.
Back when they made those rubber keys and weird stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of it. And then I really wanted an Apple II.
Oh yeah.
That was like the computer to have when I was growing up, and I thought there's a box under the tree. It's Christmas of I don't know, 80 something. And I open it up, and it's a Tandy computer.
Oh, man.
And my mom says, the guy at the store said these were better than the Apple computers.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, but I still use the Tandy.
Oh,
I wrote
bet.
some code on it, and I used like
Okay.
a old school cassette player to
Yeah.
save everything.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Anyway, so yeah, that's how.
You remember
Got
what
computers.
language it was by any chance?
It was just basic. It was
okay.
like, you know,
Okay.
print,
Yeah.
go, you know,
Yeah.
go sub, go to, all that good stuff.
It was literally basic.
It was basic. And that's pretty much the extent of my coding skills. I know a little PHP and a little,
Yeah.
well, HTML. I
Oh
kind of,
yeah, same here.
because with
yeah.
MeccaWorld, that was all
Oh, yeah.
HTML. That was all just, you had to build that out manually.
Oh, yeah.
And then I found something called Home Site that was
Yeah.
really cool. So
That was actually going to lead me to my next question. I was going to ask you, so what got you into the internet? Do you remember, like, did you start off with like bulletin board or Usenet, or did you join when the World Wide Web happened?
yeah,
You know?
I once. Well, it wasn't really called FTPing, like telnetting or something. And
Yeah,
like
there was
the
like
university.
Gopher. and
Yeah,
that-
Gopher,
yeah,
which was
yeah.
from the University of Minnesota up there.
Oh yeah, really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
because the team name is the Gophers.
Oh
the
my
nickname
God! I
of the school,
actually
and
never
that was-
made that connection
yeah, it was
before. That's
Gopher.
really neat.
But yeah, I wasn't using Gopher. It was like Telnet, or I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
into like the University of Chicago. This was like early, kind of not maybe early '90s, early '90s.
Yeah.
And then yeah, there was like Prodigy and all these places
Oh,
like
yeah.
CompuServe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was on message boards and stuff like
Okay.
that.
Cool.
And yeah, so and then in '96 started the MeccaWorld website around because I loved.
Yeah.
We used to play in Minneapolis. We used to play on Durango. You ever heard of Durango?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Out of Dallas, so
Yeah.
it let you connect into like a local hub and then
Yeah.
play Doom or Duke Nukem or
Okay.
games like that. I was never that good.
Hey, it's okay. Never was I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine built maps for Doom and Doom
Oh, okay.
2.
Oh, that's
He called
awesome.
them the condiment wads. There was like the salsa wad and the
Yeah.
ketchup
Okay.
wad, the mustard
Oh,
wad.
that's really cool.
And then he did a bunch of Quake ones too. And then I also wanted to build a map for
Yeah.
Duke Nukem 3D because there was when it
Oh,
it would
yeah.
be like entering Hollywood Holocaust, and
Yeah.
back at the time Mariah Carey was really hot. And
Yeah. Yeah.
really hot, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
And so I always wanted to make a map called Mariah Carey. So
Oh, I
when it
get
would
you.
load it, it would say
Okay.
now entering Mariah Carey.
Yeah. The build editor.
So
was,
remedial, but so fun.
oh yeah, and the build editor was really
Oh,
intuitive too, because it was like it was like real time preview-ish and stuff like that for
Yeah.
the time. So, real quick, I was going to ask you, do you remember what gaming rig you rocked at the time when you started MeccaWorld at all? I know it's going really back
I think
now.
it might have been. It wasn't anything special. I had a Packard Bell that I used for the
Okay.
Daily Dementia.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Terrible computer. It was terrible, but I think the computer I had was probably it was a Gateway.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I
Gateway.
guess Gateway
yeah.
still exists, right?
I think so.
With the cow logos and
Yeah,
stuff on
I
the
know
box.
the box and yeah. Long time ago.
So, but I don't remember what it was. I think I was all jazzed because it was like, I got the computer and a buddy of mine helped me set it up. He really wasn't
Okay.
a buddy. I don't know why I needed the help to set it up, but it was kind of new to me, and he was kind of an expert. So,
Okay.
and he was like, I don't know why you need 2 megabytes of RAM or whatever. And he's just like, he thought that was, I paid for 2 megabytes of RAM, and he thought that was just so overkill.
Really?
Yes.
I knew the day would come.
We've
you
gone
know?
from megabytes to gig.
I know. It's insane. With this neural network stuff, not even 32 is enough sometimes.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
insane. It's insane. This would lead into MeccaWorld. What was some of your favorite games back then? You mentioned Duke and Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine was playing Doom, and I was
Yeah.
fascinated by it. I'd go over to his
Yeah.
house and watch.
Yeah.
He also loved. He was kind of the influence on me there with like Sam and Max Hit the
Okay.
Road and stuff
Oh,
like
really?
that.
That's cool, yeah.
Really OG stuff.
LucasArts,
The,
yeah.
the LucasArts stuff. And then yeah, so he started playing Doom, and he was playing it on a Gravis gamepad.
Oh, really? That's
Not
weird.
mouse keyboard.
Really?
So
Wow.
I whenever I'd watch him play, I get motion sickness.
Oh,
and
yeah?
then shortly thereafter, which was great because Doom comes out, and then like
Yeah.
9 months to a year later,
Yeah.
Doom 2's already out.
Yeah, yeah.
There wasn't waiting like we have now
Oh,
for
I know.
12 years for Grand Theft Auto
Yeah.
6 or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Quake seemed like it took forever to come out back in those days. Like
So, yeah.
games would take 2 years or whatever.
I know. So yeah, so then I picked up the Gravis gamepad, and then he finally gave up the Gravis gamepad, especially when we started playing on Dwango.
Yeah.
And then he was just owning me constantly. And I'm like, I can't play on a Gravis gamepad anymore.
Yeah.
I need to do mouse and keyboard. And then, so I mean, Doom, Duke Nukem, I loved Warcraft, Zug Zug.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of thing, so.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then there was like old school games, like a text-based game that I still love to this day. It's called World War 2000.
Oh, okay.
Mutants attack, and you're basically, it's just the most frustrating game ever, but I think it would be a fun game if somebody actually remade it. And it'd probably just have to be a text game, but it's just so frustrating because you always get killed in it so fast.
Yeah.
You build up a gang, and you get vehicles, and then you loot, and you rob, and you try to take control of towns, and I don't know. It's just kind of a fun game.
That's awesome.
And there's other games that I just don't remember, unfortunately. There was one game that I really loved, but I for the life of me, after all of...
Was it like a platformer or something, or...?
I loved Mario, I mean...
Yeah.
And I love some of those 3D Major Striker, 3D Realms games, Major Striker, and there was another game that was really cool. But these were kind of like really early 90s games that I'm thinking of, that there was no online component, you just played it, but it was super fun, but I don't remember what it was called. And I don't remember really how to describe that game. So that was kind of pointless for me to talk about.
No, it's okay. It's still interesting to hear about, There's so many games. There's games that we still are kind of just rediscovering because they just kind of got lost in just translation of so many games that came out.
Yeah, it's like music, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much music that you bypasses you, and then eventually you roll back around to find that, Kanye West is pretty good. Pink Floyd's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a good thing people start documenting all this stuff too.
Exactly.
What was some of your favorite websites? I know you mentioned Blues News and Voodoo Extreme. I know this came a little later though, after MeccaWorld, I think.
Yeah,
or around the same time.
I don't even know what sites I went to. I don't know when Blues News. I think Blues News might have started in 95, maybe?
I think he recently said that it was 96. He had his 27th anniversary. So.
Okay, because MeccaWorld started May 6th of 1996.
Yes,
I'm really good remembering dates.
That. Yeah.
And then, but before that, I mean, I don't know what was out there other than maybe like the IGNs of the world, or the GameSpots, but like independent sites. I mean, the redwood.stomp.com, Sean Martin.
Yeah.
And then I don't know when like Steve Gibson started Shack News, I guess it's called now, right?
Shack
Scary
News.
Sugar Shack.
Yeah, that's what it used to be called originally. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shack News is actually still around today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they do pretty well, I think. I don't think Steve has anything to do with it. I think
probably not. Yeah, I don't think so. Can you tell us anything about Billy Wilson and Voodoo Extreme?
He was a good guy.
Yeah.
The first time I talked to him, he's like, when I invited him on the Daily Dementia, he's like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to him, he's like, I got some corn going in the background. I hope you don't mind. And at that time, I was still maybe really influenced by the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
But then I also loved, the Metallicas in the 90s and stuff. So I had no idea that he was referencing the band Korn. And I thought to myself, why the hell is he telling me he's got corn? I thought he was like making corn in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, so that was kind of a little fun story. And then he obviously had the brother, which was...
Yeah, like a younger brother.
Sweet Dick.
Yeah.
And I had both those guys on the show one time.
Yeah, it's a really cool episode, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah, and then, Billy was really just a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And...
So, like, Voodoo Extreme was, like, a really popular site back then, though. Like, it was... Like, I know it sounds kind of stupid to mention this, but we have to. Like, you can even see in, like, a 3D Realms, like, employee screenshot, they just have Voodoo Extreme just open in the background and stuff, So,
yeah, because Billy just was a wordsmith. He was just so good at what he did.
Yeah, especially the blahs,
or
whatever
he has.
Yeah. I guess he kind of, like, invented what we call microblogging in a way. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about.
And then Blue did that a lot in recent years. So.
Yeah, I think Blue took inspiration from that.
But yeah, and then there was another guy who I think had a falling out with Billy, maybe another guy named Alex, who was one of the writers there.
Yeah, there was some internal conflict.
Where Alex started. What is it? Sharky's Extreme or whatever.
I think so. I think that's
but I don't
what it
remember
was.
Alex's last name. And then there was another site that I was friends with, Amir Ajami, who had Cyrillus 3D, along with Craig, but I don't remember Craig's last name. And then Amir went on to build games for EA and stuff.
Oh wow!
So yeah, if you look up Amir, A-M-E-R, and then Ajami, A-J-A-M-I. A really cool guy. I had him on the show a lot. He was a fun guy to talk to. Just like Tim Tibbetts from 3D Files back in the day.
And
eventually they sold that to, I think they sold that to ZDNet.
Yeah, ZDNet.
That got purchased by CNET.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
And then, what else? There was, and then he started Major Geeks, which he still has to this day.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, Major Geeks, yeah.
But yeah, Billy was a really sweet guy, really nice, but I don't know that much about him.
That's fine.
Yeah, unfortunately, we talked, but we just we weren't close, but we were friendly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
No, thank you. It's just good to get some type of confirmation about some of this stuff. So.
Yeah.
Because you look online, the most you can get just is we remember Billy and it was a cool guy, but that, we need a little bit more of like how important was Voodoo Extreme and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that site too.
Yeah.
I mean that was probably, with all due respect, like Steve Heslop at Blues News and Sean Martin. That was probably my favorite site to check for news every day.
Totally.
In that world. I would probably, when I was doing the Daily Dementia, I would basically go to his site and steal all the stuff. Whatever I want to talk about. Voodoo Extreme is going to happen,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, thank you. I was reading about MeccaWorld. You said on the About that it started off as like a Duke Nukem/Doom fan site?
Yeah, I guess that Durango community, we wanted someplace to, like a little file archive, almost like a 3D Files, but just dedicated just to like Doom maps, and it had the fact that my friend Eric was making the condiment wads and stuff like that, and I don't know if there was a lot of Duke Nukem maps out there that you could download. I just think that was kind of more of a closed platform by 3D Realms, wasn't it? As where it had opened up Doom.
I think they opened up the built editor, but it took Doom was like right away. Just people figured out how to make stuff for it.
So it was like basically all the Doom WADs, and then Doom 2, and there might have been some like Warcraft maps on there as well.
Okay.
And then when Quake hit, we kind of tried to have as much, but then it just got too much. I mean, as far as like file size and the cost to host it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you. So it kind of started as this little site for you guys, but evolved into like MeccaWorld.
Right.
And I know there was CD-ROM.com, and then File Planet came up sometime after that, right? I was going to ask, was there a lot of other sites or was Mecca still kind of unique in that regard?
There was probably other sites out there, but I just didn't pay attention to them, so I wasn't aware of them.
Yeah, I get you.
And then Eric, who went by Funny, did like the top. I think this is probably still searchable somewhere on the internet. The top 100 Quake maps of all time or something. He wrote that article up.
I think some old Quake sites will have that. Will mention like a little proudly, we were a top 100.
Yeah. So like the top 100. Well, not Quake sites. Quake maps.
Maps. Yeah.
So.
Okay. Interesting. What was it like running a site like back then, especially if something where file hosting was space and bandwidth always a concern?
Bandwidth wasn't bad. The bad part was when I started doing the Daily Dementia.
Oh yeah.
Because those files the real audio files were pretty huge, and the MP3 and now if you think about it, it's a 20, 30 meg file. I know. It's nothing, but back then it was like downloading, 300 gig now.
Oh, I know. Well, we only had like 500 gig hard drive, or 500 meg hard drives and stuff back then.
Right. Yeah. So I think that was and then I worked with MeccaWorld started, or shortly thereafter. I started, maybe it was a little while, and it was just a labor of love initially. Yeah. I worked with some company, maybe out of Florida. I don't even remember their name.
I know.
For like providing advertising, but they were just like doing weird advertising and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just like oh, here's an ad for a douche product on a gaming site. It's just they were just selling
that really
here's
early
flowers
90s.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
That early 90s, just throw anything, see what sticks.
Exactly,
advertising. Yeah, because my next question was going to be, so I saw that one of your sponsors was, I think they're called, Imagine Games, and I guess that was actually IGN
yeah,
later.
That's true. Yeah. It is. That was IGN. Yeah. So
that was IGN who was showing the douche products.
No, it wasn't IGN.
Okay,
it was
good. We should clarify that.
Some other weird company out of like Florida or something.
And then you partnered with IGN. I guess, essentially.
Imagine Games. They I think they recruited. They were recruiting sites because I think they had so much inventory, and back then it was like $30 CPMs. Yeah. So I'm like, sure, and I don't think much of it.
Yeah.
And then 2 months go by, and all of a sudden I get a check for like $6,000, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because CPMs were just gigantically high, and even if they were taking 50%, I didn't think it would be much.
Yeah.
And the traffic it was traffic, but the CPMs being just so high, it was insane.
That's crazy.
So I'm just like, okay, that seems cool. So now I'm like, oh, I got some extra cash, and now I'm going to start my Daily Dementia show, basically.
Yeah.
At that point, 98. So then I'm trying to figure out, how to do that, so to speak. And I went to school for radio, television, broadcasting.
Oh, really?
I worked in radio and stuff. But building something at home was different.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to get an ISDN line.
Oh, yeah.
Which was tremendously expensive as well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that great, but still, it was just like, well, I can say I got an ISDN line.
T1s and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it wasn't bad. But it was like $1,000 a month. I was paying like $150 for like 128K.
Yeah, God. That's insane.
Yeah,
so. That's a good segue into, so I guess you could say Daily Dementia was kind of like one of the first examples, an early example of what we call a podcast now.
It was,
right? Do you know where you got the idea, or what it exactly led to it? Because I know you said you had MeccaWorld, and that kind of led to it, but do you know exactly what sparked it?
It's kind of the history and just wanting to do radio and broadcasting and stuff.
Just personal interest.
Yeah, and I don't know if I really followed anything else out there. I think there's a guy named Scott Rubin. He might have been doing something called the All Game stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't know about it at the time, but Adam Curry, formerly of like MTV, had started doing, I think, a podcast, and I think he's kind of credited as like doing one of the first podcasts.
Okay.
But I figured, well, with real audio, if you can stream audio, like why can't you just stream like a little kind of type of show? And that's what I did, and I really wasn't looking at it. I wasn't stealing anything from anybody.
No.
I was just kind of looking at what I wanted to do and just kind of did it.
You might actually be like one of the first 100 podcasts that ever came out.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah,
it could be.
It's kind of crazy to think about,
Right, I know. And then Apple obviously made it mainstream, 6, 7 years later?
It's funny, I'll get to that later. I have a question about that, interestingly enough. But so that's pretty neat. And the follow-up question to that was, do you know how many guests and episodes you did? Do you kind of have like a rough number?
I did it pretty consistently for like a year. I would say at least 4 episodes a week, just on average.
Oh, wow.
So maybe there's 200 the first year, and then the second year, maybe it was less. So maybe it was only 2. So I guess maybe in the neighborhood of like 300 episodes, maybe, if I had to guess.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then bandwidth was. Yeah, that was the hard part. So that's when I went to IGN. Well, actually, I went to IGN with the idea of doing it. Imagine Games.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine Games. And then they changed their name to Snowball, which everybody made fun of, and then they changed their name back to IGN.
They called themselves Snowball at one point?
Yeah, they did. And that was when
that's funny.
The Kevin Smith movie was relevant. I think it was Clerks.
Yeah, Clerks, yeah.
I think it was that. It was, anyways.
And there's Dogma at the time, and
and then there's the snowballing thing where.
Yeah.
So
they should have seen that one coming.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
That was Snowball.
Why do you call him that?
Sylvan made it up. It's a blowjob thing.
What do you mean?
After he gets a blowjob, he likes to have it spit back into his mouth while kissing. It's called snowballing.
He requests this?
He gets off on it.
But yeah, so I asked them if they could host because I think they had some real audio hosting and stuff, and they're like, yeah, sure. And then, I mean, at the time, it's probably, you compare it to now, like, say, Joe Rogan or whomever else is out there.
Yeah, I know.
With as far as downloads per show, but like the id Software show, I think got 12,000 downloads.
Crazy, huge.
A lot back then, and bandwidth was so expensive, and then IGN eventually. They didn't think to monetize it, I guess. I didn't think to monetize it. I was a little naive there.
Yeah. Well, you're just doing it for the fun of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then eventually they're like, after about a year, they're like, yeah, you need to find somewhere else.
Wow.
And then there was another company, I don't remember what it was, Game Stats, I think?
Yeah, I saw something about that. This Game Stats. I was going to ask about how that tied in. So they started hosting or helping.
They started hosting the show. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually it just kind of went away because I took a job with the company that started MySpace, and then.
Oh wow.
And then ended up doing a kind of a different kind of podcast with them.
Oh, interesting. Okay, just since we're still on it, what was your favorite guest or episode? Do you have any highlights? Like, what was one of your favorites?
I also liked when Amir was on the show.
Oh, yeah?
I have an affection for Amir. He's just such a good guy. He could do Simpsons voices really well, as I see the Duff beer hat on your head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he was always a fun guy.
Well, who did he do?
He did, like, the comics store guy. And there was a couple other voices he did. Apu.
Oh, okay.
And, so. But Amir was always probably my favorite guest, and then, I mean, it just basically the show became my favorite guest eventually. It was just him, Tim Tibbetts from 3D Files, Major Geeks, and then Geoff Keighley.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Geoff. Yeah,
Geoff was on usually once a week. For a long time. Then he got all big and such a Game Awards because I'm Geoff Keighley.
I know. That was back when he did Game Slice. That's what it was called.
Game Slice. Yep. Editor at GameSlice.com. Geoff's a great guy, but I haven't talked to Geoff in probably 20 years.
Yeah.
So. Well, I do have some audio of him and me and Amir pretending we're shipping Daikatana.
Oh, yeah?
And what's the other game that Romero's company did? It was like, what was the guy's name? Hall? Deus Ex?
Yeah, Warren Spector, that's it.
Oh, Warren Spector, and then who's the guy? There was another guy.
Tom Hall.
Tom Hall, yeah.
Yeah, I saw you also had Tom Hall on there too from time.
Did I once?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh, well, okay.
The only guy that Romero never came on.
Oh, he didn't? Okay, I was going to ask about that.
He promised to, but he never did.
Oh, that's too bad.
Carmack never did.
Okay.
But I certainly understand that. Todd Hollenshed from when he was the CEO. He just kind of Carmack referred me to Todd.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, that's fine. I understand. And so obviously Carmack's gotten. Carmack, does he do many interviews? He does, I guess, a little bit.
He actually.
He's become a little more active, like on social.
Yeah, if you poke him on Twitter, he'll tell you whatever. He'll spill his guts. But he did like a crazy long 5-hour interview with like Lex Friedman or whatever. Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's fun. And then I tried to get Mark Rain would come on the show at any time from Epic.
Yeah, I think I read that one.
Cliffy B was Cliff Blazinski was a really fun guy to talk to because he had a sense of humor.
Okay.
I once called him I called him my Bobo when he didn't know what that meant because it was a Simpsons kind of from Homer or not Mr. Burns' Bobo.
Yeah.
He's my Bobo and Cliffy B's like, does that mean I'm your bitch? And then at E3 one year, I tried to get. Why am I drawing a mind blank? He's the guy that runs Epic these days.
Oh,
the programmer.
Tim Sweeney.
Tim Sweeney, yeah. And he's like, all right, I appreciate it, but he just didn't want to talk. And I guess he knew of me, which is always nice. And now, obviously, the whole Fortnite thing and
I know.
I love his battle with Apple, though.
Oh,
I'm glad they're just
fun.
hammering Apple.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yes, that's great. But I love.
You had someone from 3D Realms, I think, as well. You had Joe.
Oh, Joe Siegler. Yeah, Joe would be on a lot.
Yeah,
too. He was very surly.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that about Joe. But yeah, he was a really good guy, and he loved himself some Whiskey in the Jar by Metallica.
Oh yeah.
That song. And then a friend of mine who's no longer with us, he passed away like 9 years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. He was the Monkey 3 guy. So I did this little bit called, I don't know, it was maybe April or May or June or something of '98. And Booyah Bass Entertainment with Lyndon Carr had invented the first 3D outdoor engine.
Oh, wow.
And it was just this whole big... And my friend was he wasn't like short a couple marbles. He just had a unique way of speaking and a way of presenting things. So it sounds like he's completely crazy, but you also think that, well, maybe this is true. And then I did some editing to make him just a little more crazy. And I get an email after I posted that show almost immediately. He's like, from Geoff Keighley, and he's like, this isn't real, is it? And so many people were emailing saying, this guy, you got to watch out for this guy. I think this guy's using you and stuff. And I thought that was so nice. And then you get, you get people that would email me, oh, you suck, And just like, and then usually I just respond with, yeah, I kind of do, don't I? That's it's unfortunate for me. And then most people would write back if they said something like that. Oh yeah, I didn't really mean that. I just meant that one show. You're cool. And, just like. You kind of embrace their attitude, and it usually turns and stuff.
That's good. You turn it around on them like that.
But yeah, as far as a guest, like from the gaming world, I really enjoyed talking to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably Joe from 3D Realms. The first interview I did was with Scott Miller, and he thought it was a text article. He thought it was. He thought we were just recording, and then he sends me an email after I post it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't know that this was going to be an audio interview. I'm like, oh, sorry. And then that was the same day. So the same day I posted it was April.
Well, I hope you know this one's an audio interview.
yeah, I know. The first day I posted it was, I get an email from Scott Miller saying, for the first show of Daily Dementia, saying, I don't know, I get an email from Geoff Keighley, because he was a big 3D Realms kind of bobo. When it come to 3D Realms, because they love Geoff. And he's like, hey, if you ever need me to come on the show, I'm like, sure. I hadn't actually heard of Geoff at that point. I investigated who he was, and I'm like, oh, he's written this stuff. This is cool.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm always looking to fill time, on the show. So. But so.
Anyone from Valve ever or anything?
No, I never got anybody from
Sierra
Valve.
or anything. They were kind of weird about the interviews.
I mean, there was like Baldur's Gate, Ray.
Oh wow! Okay.
What was his name? Dr. Ray. Muzarek or something like that. And there was other people like that, but
But I was going to ask you, I guess just to cap off Daily Dementia for now. Was there anyone you were really wishing? I know you mentioned Tim Sweeney, but was there anyone you were like you just wish you were able to get and it just never worked out, just for whatever reason? Was there anyone you're just dying to have on there?
It was probably Romero at the time because Tim Sweeney, his profile has become legendary over time, and Romero's is.
But he was still kind of improve himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was probably Romero. That was the one that I was, and then Gabe Newell, of course. I think I tried to get Gabe several times, but it just never came to. And I was a big Half-Life fan.
Oh, yeah?
And then Counter-Strike. I was like 0.4 or whatever when that came out, or 0.6, whatever, like the first release was.
We have all the boxes and everything.
Yeah.
Big Half-Life, Quake, Duke.
I still played Left 4 Dead last night. Left 4 Dead 2.
Oh, yeah?
I love playing that.
Oh, yeah, it's a great game.
So, I'm kind of a Valve fan and then a Rockstar fan on the consoles.
Okay. Oh, yeah? Okay.
I love me some Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, yeah, great game.
Yeah.
Great game. So what was the end for MeccaWorld? I guess that was the question. What was the exact? Do you remember how it kind of happened?
I know that Imagine Games, Snowball, whatever. I think they were ending their partnership program.
Yeah, you
maybe
mentioned that.
Maybe because CPMs were going down and down. It wasn't $30 CPMs anymore.
And they didn't Daily Dementia took so much bandwidth or whatever.
Oh yeah, and I had to leave that. But I think that was fine with them.
That was always its own kind of separate thing at some point, Daily Dementia. Was it first hosted on Mecca, then went separate?
Yeah, it was always kind of part of MeccaWorld, but then but then the hosting, the real audio kind of thing,
Yeah.
the bandwidth was taken care of by Imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it was that, and then coupled with the fact that I knew a guy who worked at another site, and he was going to work for a company called Intermix.
Okay.
That had just reverse IPO'd out of Connecticut, or like it was like a reverse they bought.
Yeah.
It was called eUniverse, and they bought a motorcycle company out of Nevada.
Oh,
to
wow.
go IP, to do kind of like a public offering, a reverse public offering, I guess they call it.
Interesting.
And they were moving the company to Los Angeles. I was still in Minneapolis, and Twin Cities, and then so I've been talking to this guy, and then another guy that worked with me on MeccaWorld, and this was just kind of one of my writers, and he had done some programming and design, like logo design and stuff. He was like, geez, when I was working with him then, he was probably like 13 or something.
Wow.
I didn't even know how old he was, because you don't really think to ask people their age. You know,
No.
just like here's a guy that's like sending me logos and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool, thanks.
Yeah.
So his name was Rick, and he was, and it turns out, well, yeah, I didn't even know that until I got hired by eUniverse, because I kind of wanted to do that stuff, but they were cool with me because that's when I was about to move to Arizona.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to move to Arizona, so I'd just be off-site and come into Los Angeles every once in a while, and yeah, it was so it was kind of like a combination of things there, and then this Rick guy who was sending me the logos and did some work on the site. Turns out that he had been hired by them as well. He was 15 then, dropped out of high school.
Oh my god!
But he was just kind of like, I mean, they really put together some serious talent at that place. There was a guy named Adam Gold. Oh yeah, it was Adam had a site. He had the gaming site.
Yeah.
I forget the.
This is all part of eUniverse or whatever. Or?
No, he had a site before. I think that he sold to eUniverse.
Okay.
So Adam had a website that he'd started out of St. Louis, and he was going to be the, like, I forget. I mean, anyways, he was going. It was like he was like 18. He was going to be like a not like a CFO or a CEO, but running a department himself.
Yeah.
This was a really smart guy. And then Rick, he somehow knew Rick, and he had hired Rick.
Yeah.
And another guy named Lorian, and another guy named Marco.
Yeah. Okay.
And we ended up doing that thing. And the first 6 months I worked there, I really didn't do anything.
Oh, really?
Because I kept asking for stuff to do, and they're like, well, just. So I started building out this podcast called eUniverse Live.
Yeah. And
had like celebrity guests on it, and then took over a website called Mad Blast that ended up just blowing up around the whole 9/11 thing, because we were doing kind of cartoons and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like Flash Files, Flash Tunes and stuff.
Yeah. Was this part of the site I learned about called Break Play or whatever? Or was that a different
that
thing?
was just some other side project that myself and Eric, the Quake guy, the Condiments WAD guy did.
Oh, okay. The mustard and ketchup guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. And then, so that was, and then Adam went on to so then there's this whole thing with eUniverse where they bought the company that Tom and what's the other guy's name? I don't remember his name. From MySpace.
Everyone
those two guys.
Tom,
and then they started MySpace, and then that blew up, obviously.
And that relates to eUniverse. That's crazy.
Yeah, because eUniverse owned that.
Wow.
Then they sold that to News Corp, Fox.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then after that, Adam went off to start another company, and if you've ever heard of Fabletics, yeah, that's Adam's company.
Okay.
It's a huge company in that
kind
of that in the what is it? I don't know, apparel industry.
Yeah.
And then Rick worked there. The other guy worked there as the CTO for quite some time, and then I think he kind of retired already.
Man.
But anyways, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here.
That's fine. It was just interesting because it's just interesting to learn more about e-universe and some of that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Did you do the e-universe live podcast long, or was it kind of like a spiritual?
It was maybe like about a year, and then the whole Mad Blast thing kind of took off.
Yeah.
They were like, "We have this site called Mad Blast. You want to run it?" I said, "Yeah." And then Rick, in his spare time, even though he had a day job, doing other stuff like product-driven stuff. There was like a kind of an entertainment side of e-universe, and then a product-driven side.
Oh, okay.
One of the product-driven sides was something that was a little scammy called Get Paid Driving.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Basically, you put like stuff on the sides of your car.
Oh wow!
And stuff is like sponsorships.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stories about it.
Oh yeah.
But
they were trying any advertising stuff back then on the internet.
But yeah, and then they're like, "Can you run this Mad Blast site?" And then that kind of became popular because I had one programmer, artist, so we'd talk every day and we'd come up with these crazy ideas. The Michael Jackson baby drop game was one of them when Michael was
doing the weird thing with Blanket or whatever his
it was
was.
Blanket, and then I read an interview like, I don't know, 10 years ago, not 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, where Michael Jackson said, he didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
He said, whoever did that was like the worst person in the world. And I'm like, well, at least I never hung my kid out the window.
I know, yeah.
Among other things, but yeah. But yeah, so that was...
Whoever that guy is. Yeah.
And then Mad Blast was doing really well, and then they wanted to start a game site called Game Rival. And they're like, hey, can you run this too?
I think I've heard of that one, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was able to get a bigger budget, and then the guy that had been doing the Flash tunes for us, we on Mad Blast, we started making the games as well for Game Rival, and then I met a guy named Danny Glover, not Danny Glover.
No, yeah, I was gonna say.
And he was just an adorable kid, and he made Flash games, and then we made this game called Gold Miner.
Okay.
Hit really big.
Really?
And we were selling like $20, kind of not shareware versions, but like full download versions. There was like a web version.
I don't know why. That does kind of ring a bell.
It was selling like 10, 20,000 copies a month or something like that. I don't know. It was just insane.
Yeah.
And then, I'll
have to look that up. That sounds vaguely familiar.
And then we started doing games.myspace.com.
Oh, wow.
And it just kind of got everything implemented. And then MySpace, the hierarchy there, unbeknownst to what we were doing or on our side of things, decided they were going to partner with like Wild Tangent. I think it was Wild Tangent, some company like that for games. Maybe because they probably made them an offer.
Probably.
That was just more lucrative, I understand that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so.
That's really interesting, though. Wow.
Yeah. It's been a wild ride.
Getting called out by Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah. And then then another thing that I worked with an Australian company, and they did the Bin Laden "Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Hide" based off of the Banana Boat song.
Yeah.
So that was huge.
Home.
So like in November of 2001, Mad Blast was like the 19th most popular site on the internet.
Wow. But that's crazy. I remember that Flash, the Tally.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun Flash stuff. We did we did a Wild Bill one, and we stopped doing that. It was like Tom, in this case, a guy named Tom Shirley, did the animations and stuff. He would animate, and I would like write little scripts of like Bill Clinton. It was like the Bill Clinton show. It was Wild Bill. Hey everybody, it's your former president. It's Wild Bill, oh, baby.
Oh, that's not bad.
And he liked to smoke weed, and we did like 6 of those, and it was kind of blowing up. And then 9/11 happened, and it just seemed like maybe we shouldn't do these right now. And we just stopped doing it. Some of them are up on YouTube if you want to search for them. Just search for like Wild Bill Show.
Well, that's crazy because when you were mentioning when you were doing the impressions, I'm like, wow, it kind of sounds like what he was doing.
But I think it's just the audio. I could not find. I was really good at like archiving everything, but I could not find the actual videos of them because Tom made the Bill's nose look like So it was like, yeah. But it was fun. It was fun doing that. And there was like a takeoff on Jay and Silent Bob with him and Al Gore. And
yeah. I guess you brought this up earlier, and I actually had a question about this. I was curious. So I think it was like 2001 or something. Apple, they made iTunes. They really said it was a big deal. But they made this other big deal about podcasts and how they could be RSS'd and all this stuff.
2004.
Yeah,
right around there,
like that.
2005.
Yeah.
It was a little later.
Yeah, something like that. And I was going to ask you, did you ever think about getting back into it because of that, like with Daily Dementia, or were you kind of done by that point? Or
I did. I kind of relaunched. I soft launched Daily Dementia like in 2004, I think it was.
Yeah, I saw you had like an episode in 2005
Mark,
or something.
Yeah, there you go. Mark Rain came on
from
Epic Games.
Of course, yeah.
And then there was some woman producer who was producing some Playboy game and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then there was a couple other shows, and I think Amir came back for an episode.
Oh, that's cool.
And Tim Tibbetts. Geoff by that time was like,
yeah. I'm famous now. Yeah. I talked to Valve and
behind the game.
Yeah.
With Valve.
Yeah.
No, it's cool.
Oh man. Going back to Daily really quick. So you tried getting back into it, but when did it end? I guess formally, when was the full end? I guess of Daily Dementia.
I don't know. I might have done something again in like 2000, in the late 2000s. But I don't know if I ever got anybody involved. I wanted to do it, and then when I start doing it, I'm just like, nah, I'm past this.
I get you.
And I don't know.
Totally fair.
Yeah. It was just like, it was fun, and it was memorable, and it's just like, nah, just not me anymore.
I get you.
Yeah.
That was kind of my next question into that. But yeah, you enjoyed it. You had a good time with it, and
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It was super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing it.
I guess just from my perspective, I think it's just really interesting, not just because it's not only like a really historically, if you don't mind me saying, historically interesting podcast, but it just kind of needs some of the guests and people you had.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of audio interviews of a lot of those people and stuff. So especially like Billy Wilson, you might have the only audio recording of him if you think about it. It's kind of weird.
That's true. And there should be another one. So there's the one with him and his brother, right?
Yeah.
Is there another one online?
No, I think
the one that I did solo with him, and I don't know.
I haven't seen that. Or heard
I don't know.
That, no.
That's probably on one of those Spark drives.
Yeah, I would love to get that sometime and look at that.
Yeah. That was really cool.
I guess going on, if you don't mind me asking, so you own this cool, what we've been doing in the interview here, in this cool shop called Rock This Town Records. Can you tell me a little bit about it, how you got to, what made you want to open this, if you don't mind me asking, or how it led to this? I'm assuming other than you love music,
I do. So there's two things. I got tired of standing in line at record store day.
Oh, yeah.
You go to other stores, you're going to wait in line for record store day, so let's open our own record store. Then we can, just the titles will flow in.
Yeah.
As far as like the record store day, which happens this year on April 20th.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's an interesting day.
Cool titles. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be something scented, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was that, I've worked from home for 25 years, and I wanted to get back out into kind of the public, even though that sometimes is scary, I suppose. But
yeah, no kidding.
I like when Jen and I moved here from Minnesota, a lot of the people I know, one of my best friends, had passed away like 9 years ago. So it was like, and then my family is kind of, I'm an only child, so it's like, so let's get Jennifer home where she is from, and then maybe I'll be able to meet some new people that would come to my funeral. That was one of the jokes I make.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to wait in line at record store anymore, and then maybe somebody will come to my funeral because I don't know anybody down here in Arizona when I moved down here. So it was good to kind of meet
well,
some people that weren't on the internet.
I'll go to your funeral.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Hopefully it's not next week, but you never
I
know.
hope it's a long time from now. Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, and then and it's just you meet a lot of cool people. I had some young guy come in the store. I think it was the day of our 1-year anniversary. And he's like,
Oh, yeah?
"Are you TC from the Daily Dementia?" And it was just like, "Oh my God, it's so weird." My wife still is not over that you came in and said that.
Oh, yeah.
You recognized the voice somehow.
You can totally hear it to this day.
Sweet,
Yeah.
soothing, sensual, touchy,
Oh yeah,
feely, erotic.
you have a
pleasure
good radio
sounds.
voice, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
So
I never thought that. I got fired from my first job in radio because the guy hated my voice. But back then, you ever seen the movie Private Parts by Howard Stern?
yeah.
Where when he first starts out, he's like, "Hey, everybody, it's Howard Stern." I had that as well.
Oh, okay,
Hey,
okay.
everybody, how you?
It's Howard Stern on the Howard Stern Experience, and if you love music, you'll love Deep Purple on TBU.
Doing?
Yeah. No, you have a good natural speaking voice. I think it's good for the podcast and stuff.
Yeah,
It-
that's nice.
It also helped
Renee
that
Wolfcastle would be proud.
it also helped that they were on the phone and you also had a real microphone too. You know?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot that. I guess I should interject this real quick because that was one question I was going to ask is with Daily Dementia, how did you get contact with guests?
Geez, I don't even remember. There was something. It was like almost like a mini blogging. It was like a Twitter thing back in the day.
It wasn't like a mailing list, right?
No, it wasn't a mailing list. There was like it was like Ping or something.
Wow, I've never heard of this. That's interesting.
It was something that people use. So it was, and then, or I would just, once you get that first you just blind email somebody.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't really care to. It wasn't a big deal to have your email address because nobody was really spamming back
I know.
then.
Yeah.
So it was just put my email. Be like,
Yeah, I was gonna ask
like,
if
here's the
people just-
profile page, and Scott Miller, 3D Realms, president,
Wow.
Scott at 3D Realms.
Yeah, you'd never get that today.
Yeah,
You know?
there might be a phone number there for him. But there was some weird service. You
Yeah.
tried to dig into that
Ping
game
or whatever?
developers use. I could have swore it was like Ping or something like that. It was called, and they would post like little.
Oh, you're
little
talking about Finger?
Finger. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
Finger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ping, Finger. I was close on the
Yeah,
ing.
Finger.
there.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Finger.
Yeah, actually, I still have a friend who still fingers today. Believe it or not, I know that was always a joke. I'm gonna go finger John Carmack. You know.
There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't know that still existed.
Yeah, because it's just a Unix program essentially,
okay.
and all it does is it reads a text file from your home directory. That's really all it does, and it just
okay.
posts it to a website. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
There
No,
you
it's
go.
it's a real simple thing, but yeah, no.
I think I got some people from that too, but yeah,
Yeah.
and then once you get to know enough people,
Yeah.
you can say, "Hey, do you know blah 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 and blah blah blah?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, I know. Here's let me give you his email, or let me introduce you."
Yeah.
And yeah, since I was there was a guy named Kevin something, the Captain Emmy guy. Have you come across him?
I don't know. He doesn't sound familiar.
Kevin, he did the Attack of the Show on like G4
Oh,
TV.
that guy. Oh,
Kevin
my
Pereira.
Yes,
That's what it
Pereira.
was. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I think he was. He wanted to be me. And so he. So yeah, and so he started the show. I think it was called Captain Emmy. Or I think he was called. He was called Captain Emmy.
I didn't know that he went that far back.
Yeah, but this was probably in '99.
Yeah.
And then I got wind of it. Somebody sent me some stuff because he was like,
I don't
like
want
making
the
fun
pain.
of, oh, well, so
I
TV
don't
from the
want the
Daily
penny.
Dementia.
Well, the penny.
And so
Give me
I
no
found the
pennies.
clip and then cut it and put it in the show.
Wow.
Because I don't really care if somebody's doing that. So,
There you go.
Thank you.
but yeah, I think.
No.
And then he did some weird show on one of these channels. I don't know. I ran into him once at E3.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, hey,
Yeah.
it's not, and he blew me off.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, well,
Wow.
whatever, that's fine.
that's
That's
so-
cool. I don't care.
I guess just to wrap up a couple quick questions here. So, how did you choose the location for Rock This Town? Just why Gilbert? Just out of curiosity.
Well, we lived in Queen Creek, and
Oh, okay. Well, that,
And-
that explains a lot. Yeah.
and everything
Don't wanna drive
there
too
is
far.
new,
Yeah.
and everything is rented by dentists. dentists
Yeah.
have like taken over retail spaces.
right
So many
over there.
Well,
Yeah.
but this is kind of and we were supposed to actually be right next to the across the street. We were supposed to be right next to the School of Rock.
Oh, wow.
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
And we had everything done, everything signed, waiting for the owner to sign it. But he was using us, apparently, to get a deal with some kind of wheelchair place.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
okay.
I guess
So that
it's a
kinda-
wheelchair play. Well,
But it would have kind of been better in this area, perhaps?
Yeah. I don't
But,
know.
Yeah, so anyway,
I
that
guess-
guy did us dirty, so, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then so we're like, well, kitty corner, and okay. And is it the best location? No, but we don't have to deal with kind of the riffraff that comes with malls or walking
Yeah.
malls or stuff like that. So because like theft and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
ideally it's limited here. If somebody walks out with a CD, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I hope that doesn't
It's hard
happen.
to steal a record.
Yeah, it really is. I guess they earned that one if they manage it somehow.
Yeah.
You mentioned this earlier. I'm curious. So, what was your first concert?
Some Night Ranger at the Minnesota
Oh,
State
really?
Fair.
Oh man.
It was oh yeah, Night Ranger. You've heard of Night Ranger? Sister Christian. That was kind of their big hit, but they were more
I
of a
don't know
rock
them.
band.
I can't say.
It's like Sister Christian. Oh, the time has come. Something.
Yeah, I don't know. If you play it, I might know it. I don't know that one off the top of my head though.
But they were a cool kind of two guitar band.
Oh,
And then
okay.
this just happened to be their big hit.
Was that before they were big or after they were
No,
big?
they were big. They were fairly big, but then Sister Christian kind of vaulted
Oh,
them
okay.
into another. It's like a motor in.
Yeah. Trying to.
You're probably too young for it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes.
I wasn't going to see him for this song, but yeah, there was a
Yeah.
lot of other deep rock cuts that were really
Yeah.
good. A lot
Okay.
There was a really good guitarist in that band. So.
Yes, I know exactly what this is now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's cool. So you're okay with telling us some of your favorite bands or musicians or?
Well, Jen and I met because of Def Leppard, so I have to say Def Leppard.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
I'm a
That's cool.
child of the '80s, so Van Halen.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
then kind of maybe some of the hair metal stuff.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I don't know
Scorpion.
if
Or,
Tesla, yeah, Scorpions maybe, but yeah. But I really have found, opening the record store and starting to recollect records like Jen and I did, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
yeah.
You find I hated Pink Floyd in the 80s.
Really?
And I kind of love Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Not like the early stuff, it's a little weird, but.
Yeah.
And then Kanye West, I kind of dig on. Lana Del
sure.
Rey I've gotten into lately.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then just all kinds of stuff. Even in the Audio Slave,
yeah.
90s bands. I like Korn now.
Were you ever in the Ministry or anything like that? Or is that too hardcore?
No, I never really listened to Ministry.
No industrial or anything, or
9 Inch Nails a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I was wondering if you guys are hiring anything. Not at the moment.
Ever into, since we're back there, I'm just curious. Were you ever into Devo or New Wave or?
I loved, so there was like two schools of new wave, I feel.
Yeah,
There was like
yeah,
Pure,
totally.
Depeche Mode, and
Yeah.
New Order. And then
Yeah.
I was more of the U2, NXS, Duran Duran.
Oh
guy.
yeah, I get you. Yeah, they kind of retroactively call it this now, but it was kind of like dark wave. It's the more serious,
Yeah,
sad,
exactly,
and that
yeah.
evolved into industrial.
Smiths.
Yeah. Smiths. That's a great band.
That's a
Cool.
Would you like a receipt?
Anything else you want? Any other bands you wanted to mention, or I don't mean to interrupt you or anything.
No, that's cool. I mean, I like everything.
Oh, I get you. I
mean,
feel
I
that.
even love to post Rebecca Black's Friday once a year, because it's so wonderfully, awesomely bad.
It is in a way, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I get you.
You know Friday, right, Audrey?
What?
Friday. You're
Yeah.
gonna get something on Friday?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. I think no, it's not. It's Thursday. Unfortunately,
It is
can't play
Thursday,
Friday
yeah.
today. With all that being said, are you still a gamer? Do you still play games? I know you mentioned Left 4
Left
Dead,
4 Dead,
so I kind
played
of know
last
that
night.
now.
I
But
play City Skylines.
yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I started playing Grand Theft Auto 5
Oh, okay.
the other night. I updated it on my Xbox, and I saw that I hadn't played since January 19th of 2019.
Wow.
So it
Yeah.
had been 5 years because I got that and Red Dead Redemption. I got Red Dead Redemption at the same time, and it was just like, forget about it.
Yeah.
Nothing's better than that game. And at this point, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is the greatest game ever.
Oh, yeah.
I know
it's
the
an
online
amazing
thing
game.
was a little hinky at first, and then
Well, yeah.
unfortunately, Rockstar's not supporting it anymore.
I know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I loved Counter-Strike. I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
so many hours in Counter-Strike.
Oh, yeah.
Now I try to play Counter-Strike, and it feels like it's a completely different game from,
Yeah.
back in the beta days.
Yeah.
And I get it, and now it's like, yeah, it's every game gets more complex
Oh, yeah.
as it gets older, and it's just like the simple games are still always the best.
Yeah. Oh, did you ever play TF at all? Did you
A
like?
little bit.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my game. I was
Oh,
more of
that's
a
okay.
Counter-Strike guy.
Oh, I
And then by
feel
that
ya.
time,
Yeah.
and then
I love-
Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, I love CS.
I love the game Tribes. You ever play Tribes?
Yeah, I never got to play it, but I know a lot about Tribes.
Yeah,
That
I
was
love that game. The
Yeah.
skiing and just I was surprisingly good at that game. I don't know how I was, but I was surprisingly good.
Tribes was actually kind of like the TF2 Valve never made for
Yeah.
some reason. I don't
And
know
it was
why.
an outdoor engine,
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
like Monkey
yeah.
3, the
Yeah.
Boolean-based entertainment game I was talking about that we faked.
So tell me, where did the origin of TC come from?
Yeah, so there was like this game called Stratomatic Baseball.
Yeah.
That I played. It's like a board game. Initially, it was a board game where you'd shake dice and stuff and
Yeah.
recreate baseball seasons based off of whether it was like the 1965 season or the 1987
Yeah.
Major League Baseball season. And there's a kind of a big following for it. You got to be kind of a sports nerd. I love baseball.
Yeah.
And then one of my teams, named in a league I was in, was called TC Dementia, or I think it was Twin Cities Dementia.
Yeah.
And then when I joined Dwango, my name I just went with TC Dementia
Yeah.
because you couldn't put in like anything longer, and then
Yeah.
people would call me TC.
Yeah.
And then when I started the show, it just was a natural thing to just
Yeah.
do TC.
Why dementia, by the way? It's a funny word. Or
Simpsons reference.
okay.
So in an episode, I think the Michael Jackson episode,
Yeah.
Lisa says to Michael Jackson, even though obviously he's not credited in it,
Yeah.
"You're a credit to dementia." I love that word.
Oh, that's great.
So
that's
everything
great.
ties back to the Simpsons. And so
Yeah, it
there you
really
go.
does. It's funny I wore the stuff hat.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell our readers or listeners?
I'll see him in the emergency room.
I hope not.
No, I don't. Those were kind of the glory days, and I wish I had more stories about Billy.
Yeah.
Voodoo Extreme. I really like talking to Sean Martin from redwood.stomp.com. No
Yeah.
idea whatever happened to that guy. Then again, he probably doesn't know what happened to me either. So
Yeah.
Not that he's ever thought of me.
Never know.
And then Blue always seemed like a good
Yeah.
guy. I mean, these guys would always, whenever I'd post a show, Blue and Scary at the Sugar Shack, and
Yeah.
Sean Martin at Redwood and Billy.
Did you guys
They would
ever-
always post stories that,
Yeah.
hey, Joe Siegler's on the show, or
Yeah.
Todd Hollandshed's on the show.
Yeah, God bless Blue, because his archive is so great.
Yeah.
You get a pretty good outline of Daily Dementia. You can find your first show. Well, you can't download it, but you can find like the post about it.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool, yeah.
No,
And he'd occasionally take a shot at you,
Well,
which is fine. I don't know.
yeah,
I probably
just-
deserved it. You know?
Aw. You never know. I was gonna say, did you guys ever Quake DM or anything like that back then? Or no. I heard that Blue. I think it was actually in your interview. Apparently, Billy said him and Blue would duke it out in Quake sometime
really?
and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did you ever talk to Steve Heslop?
Like, on a more casual level.
Oh, okay.
I would like to actually interview him if he's okay with that or
Yeah,
something.
I think he would be good because he's kind of the Bible at this point. Because
I know.
He's been there so long.
Oh, I know.
Just,
he's also a pretty down-to-earth guy. He's really nice.
Yeah.
So, I always like Blue. So,
yeah.
no, I just wanted to say thank you so much. It was
No,
a great
no.
interview, and would it be cool with you? Could I get like a Daily Dementia sign-off or something like that?
That was I'll see you in the emergency room. That's
I guess so.
Yeah. So. But yeah.
Could I hear you using that voice? Could you be like Frag-Net, the epicenter of PC gaming? Could I say that maybe?
Sure. Frag-Net, the this is basically the epicenter?
Yeah, the
okay,
epicenter.
Yeah, I'm going to say epic center. Frag-Net, the epicenter of PC gaming.
Thank you so much, man.
All right, cool.
It was great doing this. I really appreciated it. So.
Audrey's standing over here thinking, what the heck is going on?
And that's a wrap. Thank you, TC, for your patience. It was a wonderful and fascinating experience. If you live near Gilbert in Arizona, then please give his shop, Rock This Town Records, a visit to help get a record adopted into a good family today. Plus, you can chat about the good old deathmatch days. And thank you, the reader, as well. We hope it was worth the wait, and that it was an enlightening experience for you as well. Till next time.
Frag-Net, the epicenter of PC gaming.
That's good.
Does that mean I'm your bitch? Or?